Foot Clan, it's championship time. Championship weekend, heading into week 16. We know you're going to take that hashtag FootclanTitle down, and when you do, you let people know about it. You celebrate in style. You head over to fantasychamps.com, the absolute best in all of your fantasy football hardware needs. Belts, trophies, rings, you name it, they got it. Go check them out, fantasychamps.com. Use the promo code BALLERS to save a little bit of money.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, welcome back.
Oh, the boys are back in town.
Get out of here, Jay.
All right, see you later.
No. Jay Grizz.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome into the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Andy, Mike, and Jason.
We did it.
Back together. Thursday, December 20th.
Voltron is assembled.
Yes. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to talk about all these matchups we got for championship week.
Not only the matchups, but it's good you're back because the amount of crazy things that are going on right now, like literally this morning, everyone woke up on a Thursday thinking they know what's going on.
Average normal Thursday.
This is just a Thursday. I'm in the championship game. Maybe not. Oh, I've got this player to play. Maybe not. There's so much craziness going on this morning. I have thoroughly enjoyed this morning.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it all.
Yes.
Some of it's more fun to talk about than others, per the usual routine of fantasy football. But we'll get into it. We got all the matchups today, or, well, half of them. Half of them will be tomorrow. We'll catch you up on injuries. I watched the show yesterday. I believe this is called The News. We'll get into The News.
Oh, it's everyone's favorite.
Awesome.
And let's start off with, I wanted to let people know this. The official FootclanTitle shirt for 2018 is now available at shopballers.com. So
it's hot.
If you want a shirt or a hoodie or a championship mug, the FootclanTitle shirts, mugs, all that stuff, the swag. And,
Brooks,
we expect you to walk around with some swag.
Did you get your hoodie yet?
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys talked about
so it's in the mail. Got
your championship battle on the show?
We've talked about it, and then during
Has Brooks been doing what he normally does, which is kind of be demonstrative?
Yeah, but what you have missed.
Just been strutting.
What you have missed, Andy, I talked about it on yesterday's Footcast, is Jason has gone to out-nice Brooks. That is his troll job of the week.
Just complimentary?
Compliments, opening doors, refilling his beverages at lunch.
No.
Bring him
brought him a
smoothies.
smoothie yesterday.
No, you did.
Oh, look.
So you're treating him like
you treat someone like Brooks like the champion that he is because his kindness will not beat my kindness.
Wow.
That's right. You are the rude one, Brooks, not me.
Yeah, I said this on the Footcast, Andy. I'm just being myself, and I'm getting spoiled this week, so cool.
You're getting pretty spoiled.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so you're kind of a champion regardless of what happens this week. It sounds like you're celebrating.
I'm living the champ life. Yeah.
Oh, you heard it here first. He's already acting like the champion.
Oh my goodness. All right, hey, listen. Craziness happened today. Ezekiel Elliott, there was a stat correction. We've brought this up before. It generally happens on Thursdays. The NFL will audit what has taken place over the past week. Normally you'll see some very small changes the day after the games take place if there's something that's very overt and obvious. But then there's an official audit and score corrections. These happen every week. They're released every single week. During the season, they very rarely affect a fantasy football matchup because a lot of them are defensive-oriented stat corrections. Things like, hey, Ndamukong Suh is credited with half a sack on this play instead of a full sack or something like that.
And in week 3 and week 4, here's the
Who
response is, oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, it's not week 3 and week 4 anymore, Jason.
No, I know.
It's
the amount
serious time.
The amount of tweets going out there saying, what? This is 2 days later, and now they're changing? It's like, yes.
They need some time.
Thursday stat corrections. This is This is what happens every week.
Essentially, Ezekiel Elliott had a fumble lost. It was changed to a turnover on downs, the official play, not a fumble lost anymore.
That's a big one because that's 2 points.
Correct. And so this was a massive stat correction. And then the Colts defense also had a fumble recovery that was overturned. So that's a point in a lot of leagues. And so we're getting tweeted everywhere about this, whether or not some people are thrown out of the championship game because the stat correction hurt them in the negative fashion. Some are finding themselves in a championship game this morning because of the stat correction.
Or you wake up this morning to people talking about this, saying, holy crap, Mike's in the championship. And you go look, and it's because the actual just system is completely broken right now because of stat correction.
Yeah, so that's a different issue on ESPN right now. ESPN has taken away all kicker points last week.
Yes.
Preparing for the future, I hope.
And it was a stake in my heart.
But that one is
wake up to that.
That one's not legit. So if you're in those leagues, that'll
those
be
points
fixed.
will come back. But for those facing the Ezekiel Elliott situation, there are those out there saying, "Wait, I already won. You can't take it away from me."
You can't.
Well, you can.
Well, but I mean, like you can't call the victory until all the stats are final.
The fact of the matter is, this is what happened,
Yes.
and therefore it is what is final. So you have to not embrace, but you have to accept the reality of the stat correction because
It sucks.
this is what actually took place. So
Yeah.
you can't, for those wanting a direction for moving forward as a commissioner, what do I do?
You're
I'm a
already doing
commissioner.
it.
You're doing it by just being on a platform and having the stat correction take place. And look, it's unfortunate if you got knocked out, and it's very fortunate if you moved in, but it is what actually happened and what should have been counted on Sunday.
Yeah. It's our thoughts and prayers are with you if you're out, and our
We can
shot
start a support
ballers
group.
and fantasy champs are there for you if you're in. So what a world.
So we'll move on. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers. On Twitter, of course, at the FF Ballers, and the website is thefantasyfootballers.com. Community is jointhefoot.com. Let's get into more of the news and some of it breaking.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, big news this morning being reported. Josh Gordon is facing another indefinite suspension for violating terms of his reinstatement under the substance abuse policy. He is stepping away. He released a statement this morning. Says he takes his mental health very seriously, and he is going to step away from the game of football. Thanked Coach Belichick, Mr. Kraft, the Patriots organization. And so Josh Gordon is no longer an active member of the New England Patriots. We heard the statement first. Then we saw news of an indefinite suspension coming. I'm choosing to I'll just take it all at face value right now, not speculate about what is and what isn't. Clearly, Josh Gordon is we've been through this.
Yeah.
We know he faces
The man's got plenty of demons that he just cannot shake. Hopefully, he's able to get the help that he needs. And if there is, in fact, another suspension coming, I mean, this is the end.
Yeah, he probably will never play football again.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
which Martavius just got suspended as well, and he
he's
may never
yeah.
play football again
Yeah.
either. So
I mean, it is
it's
one
sad.
of those. It's really sad because these are young men whose lives are really derailed by addiction, and that's that sucks. And
Yeah, it does.
we hope the men can get over that and have good, healthy lives. The football players are finished, probably. That's my outlook from a fantasy perspective. And I will say this, from a fantasy perspective, I said this going into last year, and I felt like maybe I was, maybe it was the wrong outlook, but I felt like the guys that have had multiple strikes for substance abuse, I had been trying to stay completely clear because we had not really had a history of that going right. It's just that once you're at like 5 strikes, it's hard to trust
Right.
that player. And now, I mean, we saw that with Justin Blackmon and now with Josh Gordon and Martavis Bryant. It's one of those things where it's like,
well, you'd like to be positive and
Oh,
believe
yeah.
in the redemption of that player and them turning the page. And unfortunately, more of these that happen, you become more cynical about that ability. And hopefully we can avoid that and just, like you said, hope for the the best for the person. From a fantasy perspective, it makes Chris Hogan very interesting in the offense again.
Right.
Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski. I mean, Josh Gordon wasn't, he wasn't carrying the load for that offense by any means. But
well, and apparently the Patriots knew about this last week. This was it was actually affecting their game.
Yeah, cool.
Part of why Cordero Patterson was more involved in that
he's somebody
as well.
Interesting too. So
it's something I'm sure Mike would have liked to have known about last week.
Certainly.
We won't get into that. The fact that if Jason or if Mike had played Mark Ingram instead of Josh Gordon, he'd be in the League of Record title game. I just skipped the first 3 shows of the week, so I didn't have to complain about my loss either.
Yeah, but we're battling for third, bro.
You realize the other fact, Mike. If I had just not won the 1 seed, I would have been in the title game.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. All right, the Chargers. Keenan Allen, a different Gordon here.
Back to good news.
Melvin Gordon. He's expected to play along with Keenan Allen on Saturday night. Cam Newton will not play in the final 2 games of the season. They're shutting him down, and so the Panthers have flipped from favorites at home to 3.5-point underdogs against Atlanta, and the over-under of that game has changed by a touchdown. So you're not going to have Cam Newton. He wasn't the same from the injury.
For weeks.
Yeah, we were sold a bill of goods on what we were getting from Cam Newton for the end of this season, the schedule, all the things we hoped for, and none of it came to fruition because he is beat up. James Conner, this came out this morning, unlikely to play against the Saints this week. It'll be more Jalen Samuels. Is this a blessing in disguise for those that have James Conner that might have tried to put him out there?
If you have only James Conner, then it sucks. But if you have both, it removes that possibility of James Conner re-aggravating while playing, because if Conner had started, you have to start Conner because he's going to be the workhorse guy, but now it's back to Jalen Samuels. So congratulations if you held on to both.
Brooks.
Jalen Samuels looked so good last week.
He really did. I think he's hitting his stride. So, yeah, congratulations, Brooks, on getting Keenan Allen back and having Jalen Samuels.
Almost like anyone can succeed at the Pittsburgh running back position. Almost.
Sean McVay said the expectation is that Todd Gurley will play on Sunday. Now, I didn't get to tune in to the shows that I missed, all of them. Did you guys discuss how you feel about the Gurley situation? McVay said Gurley's feeling better.
But he has also said that they won't risk Todd Gurley for the playoffs if he is, in fact, not ready to play.
Doesn't it seem like he will? And Sean McVay said C.J. Anderson could play a role as early as this week.
You got
to play Gurley, but you're afraid, aren't you?
Yes, but I said earlier in the week that Todd Gurley, I'm projecting him to
actually fully sit.
And I still kind of lean that direction. He didn't practice Wednesday. Let's see if he practices at all today. If you're Sean McVay, of course you're putting out in the media that Todd Gurley is going to play. Like this is the coach speak. This is how they do it.
Gamesmanship.
Yeah, it's the gamesmanship that is whatever.
Gamesmanship and lying are very similar.
Yes. So Andy, let me ask you. Let's say Todd Gurley sits.
I wouldn't play him at that point.
You wouldn't play any backup?
That's bold. Yeah, that's the question.
You mean any backup like John Kelly or C.J. Anderson?
John Kelly, Justin Davis?
I would probably try to avoid that situation. If C.J. Anderson is going to have a role of any kind, and John Kelly, we don't really know the trust level right now. Obviously, if Malcolm Brown had been healthy and active,
then it's easy.
I would have started Malcolm Brown. But
now, so like C.J. Anderson, if Todd Gurley sits, or say like Dante Pettis against Chicago,
asking for a friend,
hypothetical, yeah, for a friend.
I would probably roll Dante Pettis out there.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah. Unless I got more information.
Right.
I mean, it's Thursday. If we find out, C.J. Anderson is getting the start,
that would be bananas.
Yeah, it would.
So awesome.
If you won,
I know that's
with
why
C.J. Anderson.
That's the whole. It's not because
it would be the greatest account. You're such an underdog.
It's not because I want the points. It's because I want the glory.
Well, that is really fantasy
football. I want to win with
football.
C.J. Anderson.
Jamal Williams limited in Wednesday's practice. We already have Aaron Jones on IR.
I guess in a deep league, or if you've got Williams, do you pick up Capri Bibbs? I mean, he's the only running back there.
But being limited on Wednesday, whatever.
If Williams was going to miss,
Then Capri
I would
Bibbs
pick
is
him up because of the pass catching. Aaron Rodgers says he's going to play in Week 16 against the Jets. Spencer Ware, limited hamstring injury at Wednesday's practice. And a reminder, tomorrow, in and out. We'll go through all the injuries again. We'll get the practice reports from today. We'll report them and weigh in on whether we think these guys are going to go or not go for the big Week 16 championship matchups. And Sunday Live once again, Mike will resume his fanciful duties on Sunday Live, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch. This past week, we kind of two-manned it. I was the pretty face in front of the camera. You were the dulcet tones back behind.
It was smooth.
You played the producer role. It was pretty fun.
And look, I've never gotten to be the producer.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we have Brooks. Holy crap, that job is
Cake
easy.
job, right? Cake job.
I don't even know why we have Brooks. It's so easy.
I wondered why he hacky sacks during most of the show over there. But that's because he can. I mean, he stands up in the middle of the show.
Yo-yos, ball in a cup.
Yep.
He does it all.
Yeah, a little play some jacks, which is a little loud, but jacks are all the rage again.
What a game.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into the fantasy forecast here in a minute.
Yeah, before we do, want to thank today's sponsor, Pristine Auction. Pristine Auction, it is not too late to get yourself something. Get it for yourself.
Look what Brooks did
no,
to
you didn't.
Yo,
no,
Brooks.
Brooks, he says he's just acting like he's not the strutting around champ, and here he's throwing Keenan Allen, signed jersey from Pristine Auction, up on the wall as a troll to me because he's playing this week.
No, he's just a really good player. One of many in the National Football League.
Unbelievable. I'll bet you got that jersey for Pristine Auction for under $100 because
we did.
If you look at what you can win on there, a Tariq Cohen signed Bears human joystick jersey for $87.
Got the nickname on there.
You've got Devontae Adams signed throwback jersey going for $82. Look, hundreds of daily auctions. Check it out. Win things at prices you can't even believe, and it doesn't cost you anything unless you win the bid. So make a completely free account, bid on the cool stuff, win stuff at unbelievable prices. All the signatures are authentic. It's PRISTINE auction.com, and let them know when you sign up that you found out about them from the Fantasy Footballers podcast.
And again, before we get into the fantasy forecast, I want to tell you about Zebra, because Americans are overpaying on car insurance by over $21 billion. And here is the challenge for the average human being when it comes to changing your car insurance. You have to weigh, do I want to go try to find a better deal, but then receive hours of unwanted spam calls in the barrage of emails when you go and search for quotes? You don't have to do that anymore thanks to Zebra.com. It's the nation's leading car insurance comparison site. TechCrunch said this: the Zebra is basically kayak for auto insurance. You get the opportunity to, look, they don't sell your information to spammers. They give you the ability to compare hundreds of policies from all the top carriers and then just choose your best insurance situation. It's simple. It's easy. They made a solution to a problem. Go today and start saving at thezebra.com/footballers. That's thezebra.com/footballers, spelled THEZEBRA.com/footballers.
Fantasy Forecast.
All right, let's get into the matchups. Don't forget, there is no Thursday Night Football tonight, so you get a little extra prep time for the Saturday games. You've got 2 Saturday games again this week, and then the Sunday, Monday games. What, there's Redskins Titans? That's the first Saturday game?
No, the first one is the Redskins Derrick Henrys. They're playing in Tennessee against the Derrick Henrys, and it should be a bad game.
Never heard of him.
I mean, it's
never heard of it. Derrick Henry?
Yeah, the Tennessee Derrick Henrys, they've been on fire the last 2 weeks, and they're going to win people championships. I can't believe it. I went to the gym.
The Redskins 7-7, Titans 8-6, Titans 10-point favorites. The game has only a 37-point over/under.
I mean,
yet they're 10-point favorites.
Yeah, that is not a lot of points to the Redskins. I don't think that there is a single Redskin you can start. Usually it's maybe Adrian Peterson.
No.
Andy's almost upset of the week.
Okay, this has to just be bet
because of the 10
on the 10-point line.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
the 10-point line, the Redskins still fighting for a division lead. The Titans have the ability to both show up and then disappear. Their offense is one-dimensional. They hand the ball to Derrick Henry 21 times in the first half last week. The Redskins have a formidable defense. I don't know why this game has a 10-point line. I really don't.
I think it's because the Redskins cannot score.
Yeah.
They did win last week.
They did, but it was a defensive score.
But against a garbage team.
Well,
The Titans are not garbage.
No, they're not. I'm not. Look, this is not disrespectful to the Titans, but the over/under in and of itself betrays the 10-point line to me. It just if they're not expecting a ton of points to be scored on either side of the football, I think the 10-point line's excessive. That's all.
That's fair.
But I mean, you'll watch on Saturday, and then you'll be like, oh, you're a genius, Andy.
We're gonna find out. One of us certainly will be.
Brooks will put a Josh Johnson jersey up on the wall come Monday morning.
So on your upset team of the week, who would you start for fantasy?
Well, that's a whole different story there, my friend. NoOne.com.
NoOne.com. Would you start the Redskins defense if you think the Titans have
not
the
on the
ability
road.
to not show up?
Not on the road, no. The ability to not show up, the game line. I'm not going to start the Washington Redskins defense with excitement.
The biggest
Chris Thompson's still interesting to me, but no, I'm not. Vernon Davis maybe. Vernon Davis had some targets last week. He didn't bring in some pass interference calls. When you start talking about Vernon Davis, I think you're talking about one of the dart throws that can show up at the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it in a DFS play. And in Week 16 championship week, really it's Derrick Henry as the only player I want to start in this whole game. And the biggest question since the Tennessee Titans have renamed themselves to the Tennessee Derrick Henrys is what can you do with Corey Davis? Is Corey Davis, with the low volume from Marcus Mariota, is he even someone that you can remotely start?
No.
Because I've seen a lot of questions where Corey Davis is in a list of guys where I have hemmed and hawed. Like, man, Corey Davis is the best of these three players.
Derrick Henry has 51 touches the last 2 weeks. He is the offense. Marcus Mariota has no touchdowns. 250 total passing yards. Not per game. Total.
250
in the last 2 weeks. That's enough to bench him.
Yeah, but people are asking questions like Corey Davis or Dante Pettis versus Chicago.
Right.
Pettis.
Corey Davis or Josh Reynolds versus Arizona.
Reynolds.
Corey Davis or Demarius
Didn't
Thomas.
Reynolds have like 12 targets?
Yeah, he had a fine game last week.
Corey Davis or Demarius Thomas?
Yeah.
Demarius Thomas.
Wow.
Corey Davis
All right.
or DJ Moore with a backup quarterback.
That's one where I'll probably go Corey Davis.
Okay.
I might go Corey Davis over. Who was the one that you just mentioned, Mike?
Demarius Thomas.
Yeah, I'd probably go over Demarius Thomas.
What about Robert Foster? Sensation. New sensation for the Buffalo Bills.
That one's close. That one's.
Yeah, I mean,
I would probably go. Here's what I don't think is going to happen. I don't think Corey Davis is giving you 20 points.
No, we know that. for sure.
Robert Foster could do that.
Absolutely.
Other than Derrick Henry, look, Deion Lewis obviously been pushed to the sideline, both literally and on fantasy rosters. When Derrick Henry is getting that amount of play, they're winning because of that, and that's why they'll keep doing it. I mean, only 10 and 15 touches in the last 2 weeks. He's our RB31 this week.
Yeah, I think Deion Lewis can get play again if they were to be down by a lot of points, but this does not appear to be the game script with a third string out of the league for half a decade quarterback and no offensive line protecting him. They're not going to be down by multiple scores and have to throw the ball with Deion Lewis in the game. So, yeah, he's a sit to me as well.
The 8-6 Ravens take on the 11-3 Chargers in the second Saturday game. The Chargers are 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is 44.5. And, look, we talked about Melvin Gordon and Keenan Allen already. Reminder, get those Saturday players out of your flex positions. Get them into your main positions.
Does Melvin Gordon shoot back to a absolute must-start?
Look, the matchup isn't ideal for Melvin Gordon, but to me, he does. He shoots into the must-start category, Mike. If you were in the championship game this week,
he would be back in
You'd
there.
be playing him. Of course, you'd probably be in there if he had been playing last week.
Yes.
And Melvin Gordon needs one play. That's the thing. He's had games where he's delivered massive fantasy value and missed half the game. So I wouldn't want to lose with him on my bench.
Yeah, the three names that I've struggled with when it comes to Melvin Gordon, because he's a different level. He's a Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley tier of stud. And so he's an auto start. But when it comes to Joe Mixon and Marlon Mack, who's been on fire playing against New York Giants, those two guys are the ones where I go, man, do I start Melvin Gordon off of injury?
Or what about Nick Chubb?
I would start Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb against the Bengals.
I would probably start I'd probably start all three of those guys over Melvin Gordon. The matchup's so good with Mac. It could change, though. It's going to be a little bit more about what we hear of Melvin Gordon's health and where he's at. You can't imagine on a team that's 10-3, or I'm sorry, 11-3, that they're going to want to risk Melvin Gordon's health in this game.
Well, they had said that if last week was on Sunday, that Melvin Gordon probably would have played. They've said he's running at full speed at practice.
Yeah, I think he's.
I think the reports are about as good as we can get.
And if you realize, you know, maybe people out there don't realize how important this game is for the Chargers, because even though right now they've got a great record, they're up. You know, they win this game. They have a legitimately good shot at being the number 1 seed and having a bye week, an auto win in round 1. They lose this game, and they will most likely, even though their record will be better than most of the league, they will not win the division,
right?
Meaning they won't have a home game. They will be on the road against other teams with worse records. So this matchup matters a lot to the Chargers, which is why Keenan Allen will be out there, hopefully as a decoy.
Yeah, I mean, it matters a lot to the Ravens as well. And Lamar Jackson and company, I'm excited for this game because of what's at stake for both of these teams. Lamar Jackson, in fantasy value, has not finished below a QB 15 in any start thus far. We have him at 13 this week. He is only averaging 146 passing yards per start, and he's fumbling at least once in every game, which is troubling. But, look, he does have a fairly high floor.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson is a safe play. The running backs for Baltimore, now that's a bigger question because Kenneth Dixon, since returning, his snaps are increasing, actually out-snapped Gus Edwards this past week. The game script was very positive, though, which allowed Gus Edwards to touch the ball basically every time he was in. 19 carries at a monster game.
Less likely in this one.
But if the game script gets out of control or flips to any kind of comeback, can you actually feel safe playing Gus Edwards this week?
Safe? That's hard to say. I haven't felt safe with Gus in a while.
I've felt like a warm blanket next to a fire with a cup of hot cocoa.
Gus Edwards has not been targeted a single time this season by Lamar Jackson.
Didn't need it because he was getting 20 carries a game.
You're right. Well, he's our consensus RB 23 right now. And I do think he can get game scripted out. I feel like the Ravens, they want to give Dixon every opportunity he can handle.
The Ravens' defense is so good to me that I think it's going to be very difficult for him to get game scripted out. Can he? Absolutely. If they're down, he is. I just don't think that they're going to be down multiple scores and pivot from the way that they are just run the ball with Lamar Jackson and Gus Edwards. So I feel pretty comfortable with Gus. I'm not too worried, even against the Chargers, who are by all metrics a great team.
Now it did not work out to pump the brakes on Derrick Henry for me last week.
No.
It might work out to pump the brakes on Mike Williams.
Sure.
Mike Williams had the 3 scores. He looked great. No Keenan Allen for the majority of that game. Now you get a very difficult Baltimore defense as a whole. How do you feel about Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams?
Good-ish, I should say, if Keenan Allen doesn't play. Not a consideration for me if Keenan Allen's out there.
Yeah, if I had
unless it's like a deep league and it's a flex play.
If I had to start one, I would go with Mike Williams because the touchdowns are going his way. But yeah, I agree. If Keenan is out there against Baltimore, I'm pivoting. I would go somewhere else.
Any chance he earned a lot more of Phillips' trust after last week's big catches and performance?
Possibly, but I feel like we've seen this before from Mike Williams. We've seen him heroically take over a game.
We'll go to the Sunday games now.
Real quick, Phillip Rivers has been a super common question this week. People have got to the championship because Phillip Rivers has been so consistent, but the matchup is terrible. And right now he's our consensus 17, and I almost made Rivers my start of the week because I want to
battle
confidence.
Yes, just for confidence. Like, I am 100% fine playing Phillip Rivers versus even people that I've got
Lamar
ranked
Jackson,
ahead of him.
same game.
So that's a great one. I would feel much more comfortable if I assume if I'm in the championship, I've got a good roster. I'd feel more comfortable with Phillip Rivers as my quarterback than with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, they maybe have a higher ceiling, a better chance to finish top 5, but they have a much lower floor to me than Phillip Rivers, even in this matchup. I mean, Phillip Rivers has constantly been a quality quarterback. Good matchups, bad matchups. So, yeah, I'm confident in him.
And then last question on this matchup for me. Melvin Gordon is returning from the injury. Do you have any confidence to flex either Eckler or Justin Jackson?
None.
Zero.
The 5-9 Falcons take on the 6-8 Panthers. The game is a 43.5-point over-under. The Panthers are 3.5-point home underdogs thanks to a brand-new quarterback, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is the new quarterback of –
I knew she was trouble when she walked in.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that was good.
Thank you.
Tyler Heineke. You excited?
Yeah, very, very much.
The truth is, so my initial reaction, and this is the same reaction from Vegas, right, is like, oh, man. Like, I'm playing – Matt Ryan's my quarterback against Brooks, and I'm disappointed here because lower over-under, less scoring, less chance of Matt Ryan needing to ball out and throw the ball a bunch. But then I stop and I think, is that
Was
true?
that a concern against the Cardinals last week?
No, but my point is Cam has been so bad, has been unable to move the ball any way other than Christian McCaffrey. Taylor Heineke is a clear downgrade from healthy Cam. But is he really that much of a downgrade from the Cam that hasn't been able to throw the ball
Not the Cam of the last few weeks, no. But you don't know where who his favorite targets are going to be. You don't know how much they're going to let him throw the ball. So those variables make him, make the DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. Like, I've seen a lot of people asking about Curtis Samuel this week. I have zero confidence in Curtis Samuel this week.
Across the board. Funches,
Same
DJ
with
Moore.
Ian Thomas's potential upside. It declines and it fades away with Tyler Heineke.
But Christian McCaffrey is still top 5 guy for me. I think
100%.
he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. On the other side of the football, you have a Falcons offense that finally showed up a little last week. The great Tevin Coleman coin flip continues, where last week he electrically exploded again, but Carolina 7th against
That's a
big time explosion.
That's a really big explosion.
Yeah, that's new.
Electric.
That's brand new.
Electrical
that's a new kind.
explosions are
Well, we
boogie woogie.
Boogie woogie woogie.
Yeah.
It's electric.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Matt Ryan, Tevin Coleman. Obviously, Julio's in your lineup. But do you have a desire to chase Tevin Coleman in Carolina against that running defense?
No. I don't have a desire to chase. I'm okay.
I'll play him.
I'm okay. He's an
See who
RB2.
I'll play
I was going to
him
say,
over.
is he a 2?
He's an RB2 for me. So I think a good, barometer is like that. We had the conversation on Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards or Tevin Coleman.
I'd play Coleman.
I would go Coleman because he can't really get game scripted out the same way. But I think Gus Edwards is a more talented back right now this year than Tevin Coleman has been, even with the Arizona Cardinals game this last week.
11 for 145 against the Cardinals with a touchdown. Ito Smith, done for the year. He won't be out there. That might assure Tevin Coleman of more work.
Yeah, he'll get 5 more touches
in
this game.
Didn't they bring Jeremy Langford
Jeremy
back
Langford.
from the grave?
Yeah, off the practice squad.
And Brian Hill should be the backup. He was already playing.
I really like Tevin Coleman in this game.
I do too.
I really like him in this game. Yeah,
Because it's not just running. Tevin Coleman's a great pass catcher as well.
My problem is that
and
Tevin Coleman
they were forcing carries into Ito Smith all the time. I mean, even last week when he ran for 145, he only had 11 carries.
Yeah, my issue is Tevin Coleman has stunk this year, and when I watched Tevin Coleman last week, he looked as fast as Tevin Coleman usually looks, with the hopeful. But the Cardinals' defense was so bad, it was like the least effort to tackle a guy, to get to an edge. And while the Carolina Panthers defense has not been outstanding,
they're reeling.
better than the Cardinals rush defense.
Fair.
So, Mike, do you think he's got surprise potential?
Tevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Calvin Ridley's our wide receiver 28, if you want to know where he's at. Julio Jones, he's been a wide receiver 1 in 8 of 9 weeks.
You got to watch Julio because he showed up with a new injury yesterday.
Yeah.
So I assume he'll be fine, but that's definitely you got to pay attention.
And then what do we think about Mike, what's your confidence level in Matt Ryan on the road in this game?
Great question.
It's pretty solid. It's pretty solid.
What chances of an electric explosion?
Well, you need a lot of photons.
I'm trying to
and
picture
electrons.
that. Yeah.
All right, let me ask this: Josh Allen or Matt Ryan?
I think it's
Championship week.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh my gosh. Do you have Josh
No,
Allen?
I don't, but I just really would be sad if
Josh Allen is going full Blake Bortles of last year.
As in winning people championships?
Yes. It just like the last 4 games, absolutely on fire.
Look, he puts his work belt on and he goes to work for
Yeah.
you. He'll get it done.
Blue collar.
Oh, we tried out a new nickname.
Oh yeah?
You're the Josh Allen guy. So I want to
Yeah, we got to run this by Andy.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I need to approve all Josh Allen related nicknames.
Josh Stallion.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's freaking wonderful.
Yeah.
Josh Stallion?
Where's the correct? The
Yes.
oh, man, Josh, because he's running like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well
you go.
done.
That was all Mike.
I hope that didn't get any negative feedback on this show, did it?
No, we loved
Josh
it. No.
Stallion?
We were we were hoping that somehow they could trade for Michael. If they could trade for Michael Gallup,
Yes.
we'd really have something special.
All the horse puns coming in.
Unbelievable. That's a very solid end-of-year contribution to the nickname board.
Yes.
Josh Stallion. Yeah, I'm moving him up in my rankings just because of the nickname.
Oh, no, is he above Matt Ryan?
He is now.
Oh, shoot.
You better give me something better than Matty Ice if you want a chance this
Yeah,
week.
That's the worst, Matty Ice.
Oh, my gosh. The 6-8 Bengals take on the 6-7-1 Browns. Browns heavy favorites, 9-point favorites, 45.5-point over-under. Do we love Baker Mayfield this week?
Yes.
I sure do.
Yeah.
Yes. Do I love Nick Chubb? Possibly more than my own children this week.
Oh, man.
And it's Christmas
Just
time.
imagine if you had him playing in the title game.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be fun.
The Browns and Bagels are 30th and 30th.
Bagels? Did you say bagels?
No.
That's what I heard.
He's just that's definitely what I heard, but he's just forecasting their score.
Oh, very nice, Mike.
A bagel, yes.
The Browns and bagels.
The Bengals are 30th and 31st in total yards allowed per game, but the Browns defense has really done a lot more lately. It has not been all roses to start a running back against them like it was earlier in the year, which does give me a little bit of concern for Joe Mixon's performance this week. Jeff Driscoll, look, if they made a movie about him, it would be called Airmail.
Yes.
Because every single time you watched him last week, he was overthrowing his receiver.
Do you think he just got criticized too much for not having a strong enough NFL arm? And then
I'll show you.
You watch my cannon.
I think he's just on hyper. He's just the adrenaline of being an NFL starter last week got away with. Look, what's Tyler Boyd's situation? That means everything to me.
Low-grade MCL sprain, not likely to play.
Yeah,
if he doesn't play, I am very, very concerned for their offense.
Yeah, he's not playing. He said Tyler Boyd came out, said his knee is fine, but with the low-grade MCL, that's usually a 2-week. I mean, I doubt we see him again this season, but there's, I believe, no chance he plays this week.
If you combine John Ross, Cody Core, and Alec Erickson, their other receivers, they maybe make one refined receiver. Like Tyler Boyd is so much better than them and so much more reliable.
Yeah.
You saw this last week. Joe Mixon did not have a good second-half performance other than he had the touchdown run at the end of the game, which was huge.
And that's once Tyler Boyd left the game is what you're talking about.
Well, once Tyler Boyd left the game, they were not able to pick up third downs. That was the fundamental problem. The Browns defense playing well. They can get to 7-7-1. They're not dead on this season. The Bengals, they're dead.
So what's your confidence level in Joe Mixon?
My confidence level is just maybe don't expect the best from him this
Joe
week.
Mixon or Melvin Gordon?
Right now I have Mixon ahead, but if Gordon proves himself to be fully capable and practicing, then I'll probably pivot those.
Okay.
All I'm saying is if you have Joe Mixon and you're counting on a monster performance, I think that's a bad call. Like if you're playing it safe with the other positions, don't do that. You need to go bigger on those other guys because I think Mixon's going to have his carries and his touches, and he runs hard, and he's a great player. But I have him down this week compared to the consensus, and I think that this is going to be a great game for the Browns and the Browns defense.
Yeah, I agree completely. The only interesting thing I'll be watching for, and this is not in season-long championship leagues, but if you're in a dynasty league or a DFS on DraftKings full PPR, Alex Erickson, I mean, he's gotten it done on special teams. We saw him break several plays that just got called back last week. Look, John Ross isn't good.
What about John Ross or Diana Ross?
Ooh. Man.
This week. Because they have similar yardage totals over the last 3 weeks. Driscoll has
Ross has a little bit more than Diana, but
just a little bit.
Just a little.
13, 11, and 6. That would be Ross's yardage totals the last 3 weeks.
So last time these teams played, Baker Mayfield went full hamburglar with 4 touchdown passes.
But I believe that was against Andy Dalton, right?
Week 12 should have been Andy Dalton off the top of my head. But I don't. That doesn't matter to me because they're going to pour it on the Bengals if they possibly can. So the question is, where's your confidence lie with pass catchers for Baker? Jarvis.
Oh gosh,
David Njoku.
Pretty excited about Jarvis. Pretty excited about
Does the excitement trickle all the way down to a flex play of Antonio Callaway?
It could. I think that you should pre-order your Baker Mayfield signed autograph photo for your wall because you're going to win a title with Baker this week.
Yep.
I do have personally. I mean, I've got him pretty high, but I worry that Nick Chubb will have
Yeah, it's definitely
so
possible.
much work that Baker is disappointing.
It's definitely possible, except he had over 130 yards last time they played, and Baker still had 4 touchdowns.
Who did the Bengals take on last week?
Ah, crap.
The Bengals. They won a game, right?
Raiders.
They finally won. Was it the Raiders? Bengals Raiders. That sounds right. I mean, it was a week ago. How are we supposed to remember this?
Yeah,
It was.
Bengals Raiders.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we should move on.
Yep.
The 5-9 Buccaneers take on the 8-6 Cowboys. Dallas is back at home. They're 7-point favorites, and it's a 47.5-point over/under. I expect Dak Prescott to get back on track this week. Amari Cooper as well. At home against Tampa. Tampa, we know all the problems they have on defense. Their season is over. Dallas needs this win. I expect a bounce-back performance. Is there a reason that I shouldn't, guys?
Nope.
Well, the only reason is just that, the Buccaneers defense, remember, they fired their defensive coordinator because they were historically bad. Over the last 6 weeks, they're top 10 against the quarterback and wide receiver. Teams haven't been torching them the same way that they have on the season.
But where have they been susceptible the last 6 weeks, Jason?
Oh, they've been susceptible to the Ezekiel Elliott's of the world.
Yeah, the running back position, that's the Cowboys' offensive plan. So I'm not concerned for Dallas at all. Zeke is I think he's my number 1 as of right now. I love Zeke with his
electric explosion.
If you don't have Zeke on any of your teams, you may not have been paying attention to the fact that Zeke has 72 receptions on the season. Like, the only difference between Zeke and Todd Gurley right now is the touchdowns on the ground. And I know that's a big difference. But the touchdowns will come back for Zeke. This is just speaking into the 2019 season, my excitement for Elliott's fantasy output. But Zeke is going to have a monster week.
We were looking at that yesterday, Mike, in the studio, and talking about maybe Zeke is worth the number 1 pick next year because the yardage he has, the yards per game, now the involvement in passing, if he had his normal touchdown pace,
yes,
he would pretty much be the number 1. So he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, he didn't have that ability before the season. And that's what capped him being in that conversation. If he is going to be a pass catcher like the big guys, then it changes everything because he's one of the best runners in football. I think he's still leading the league in rushing, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
So Dak, Zeke, Dak's a top 10 guy for me this week. We'll talk about him later. Let's put it that way. Zeke, you always start him. Amari Cooper, Blake Jarwin.
I think you still roll with Cooper.
all of his touchdowns have been at home this year. He seems to perform well at home. I think Dak has more confidence at home. So Amari Cooper, you can play him. On the other side of the football, Winston. He's lost 11 straight road games. Do you play him in this one?
No, preferably not.
He's got only 213 and 157 passing yards last 2 weeks. That is not look, for all of his problems, the one thing he used to give you was at least 350 yards. He hasn't done that lately.
We said last week, going up against a really tough defense, he was a sit, and he was. And this is another really tough defense. Yep. Dallas at home, he's not going to do much. I think that you're probably forced into playing Mike Evans. I don't want Chris Godwin. I don't want Adam Humphries. Deshaun Jackson is back at practice. Who knows what's going on with him? And even though Peyton Barber's been very good.
You play Peyton Barber or do you play Deion Lewis?
Oh, I would play Peyton Barber over Deion Lewis.
What about Peyton Barber or Jalen Samuels?
Samuels. That one's if
Peyton
Connor's
Barber,
out.
What about Kalen Ballage or Peyton Barber?
That's a harder question.
Yeah, I would probably still stick with Peyton Barber.
I'm so excited about Kalen Ballage being talked about at the end of the season.
What a world.
Yeah. He looked good.
Did
you guys reflect on him in the stud?
We talked
in the stud
about
section?
We talked about his straight line speed, and it showed.
It's not a bad thing to have.
No, it's not. That's
darn,
what we were saying.
You're real fast.
That's what we were saying. He's going to break some long, straight runs, and he did.
He did. That's good enough.
It is.
Yeah, so did Tevin Coleman. That makes him relevant. Okay, Cameron Brate. I mean, if you don't get a touchdown from Cameron Brate, you might as well play, cardboard box as your tight end. I mean, that's your only value there.
If you're going that route, I would put Jay Grizz in, but
right, cardboard bear, cardboard box,
right,
whatever.
Go with the bear.
Same amount of fantasy points. Any other thoughts on this matchup?
Just how much I like Blake Jarwin a lot in this matchup.
We'll talk about him in a little bit.
We are going to talk about him.
I mean, how much can you really like Blake Jarwin, though?
In this landscape of tight end?
Right.
A good bit.
Okay.
A good bit.
We'll call you to talk about that a little bit later. The 7-6-1 Vikings take on the 5-9 Lions. Game is a 43.5 point over-under. The Lions are 5.5 point underdogs at home. Kirk Cousins and the remade offense. Dalvin Cook, the big week last week. Start of the week, by the way. Didn't get a toot that. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs and company, they travel, and they're going to take care of business this week against Detroit. Storylines from this week that matter to you, do we expect the same from Dalvin Cook?
Yes. Dalvin Cook should be good. The Lions
looked great.
He did look great. The Lions' defense has been much improved the second half of the year against running backs while they've given it up willy-nilly to quarterbacks and wide receivers. But Dalvin Cook, with the changeover offensive coordinator, they want to get him the ball as much as he can handle. He talked about last week. He's like, I knew I had the opportunity to get the ball more this week, and I had to perform. And so he's on a hot streak. And so hot streak. So yeah, I would absolutely. I'm full confidence top 10 guy in Dalvin Cook this week.
You feel the same, Mike?
Yeah, I'm getting distracted here. Sorry, we have a hype report from Sleeper. Jamal Williams, the injury, it's a new injury, and it is his toe. So make sure you are monitoring Jamal Williams' health if he was your backup plan for all of the other running backs who you cannot play this week.
Yeah, I'll update you as well. Anthony Lynn came out. Here's a wonderful quote from Anthony Lynn just to stir the pot. Melvin's practiced all week, and he's doing fine, said Lynn. I don't know that he's himself, but he's going to play.
Curse you, Anthony Lynn! Why you got to do that to people?
So he told Ross Tucker that he's going to play against the Ravens, but
he's himself.
I mean, the Ravens are also themselves.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
So
I'm playing Melvin.
If Harbaugh came out and said, the defense is going to play, but I don't know that they'll be themselves, then I would feel better about Melvin Gordon. Goodness. Wow. All right.
All right,
Back
Andy,
to the Vikings.
What's your thought? You want to stay on the Vikings side? Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs,
Play him.
Kirk Cousins. You're playing everybody, right?
Yeah, Thielen
Yes.
let you down, but maybe he'll win you a title this week. I mean, Adam Thielen's Adam Thielen. We have nothing from Kyle Rudolph on the season. Kirk Cousins, though. Kirk Cousins this week, he's our QB 15. We're not super excited about him. He had 21 pass attempts. We talked about the fact they're shifting the offense to be more run-focused. That was his lowest pass attempts on the season, so that definitely
That's
came
the
to fruition.
concern.
And as a favored team here on the road against the Lions. The Lions offense is struggling, and a big must-win game for the Vikings. The same script seems very probable.
Yeah, it does. The thing that you can take solace in is the fact of the past 6 weeks, the Lions have improved greatly against running backs. That's not I'm going to sit Dalvin Cook, but they've also then transformed that into allowing more points to the quarterback and the wide receiver position. So I'm still comfortable starting them all.
Kirk Cousins in a plus matchup against the Lions, easier matchup, or Phillip Rivers against a difficult matchup.
Kirk Cousins.
You'd go Cousins there?
I would as well.
I've got Rivers ahead in my rankings just because Kirk has
it's tough. Every time
very good ability to disappear.
Yes,
but what's Rivers' ceiling against the Ravens? Is he
it's
really
not
throwing
high.
3 touchdowns?
His ceiling
it's more
25.
for Phillip Rivers is a floor play. He hasn't been a ceiling play all year, but he's been incredibly safe for your roster except for 1 week. And meanwhile, Kirk Cousins has made you lose a few times.
Here's a question for you. What has Matthew Stafford become? Since Week 9, he's averaged 211 passing yards and 5 total touchdowns. Long gone are the days of Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate. He's on pace for, listen, the lowest yards, attempts, and yards per completion of his career. First year under Matt Patricia. Where's he going in next year's draft?
Stafford?
Yeah, he's undrafted, right?
Undrafted.
Yeah.
He might be drafted by me in the sense that I think they'll get him help. When you lose Marvin Jones and you lose Golden Tate and you lose Eric Ebron, I mean, what are you left to do?
You really can't overcome losing Eric Ebron. I think that's what it comes down to.
Clearly, based on what he's done this year. But right now you can't start him. Kenny G was my pump the brakes. That was the question I wanted to ask.
I noticed that, and why don't you illuminate that for me? Why is it the Xavier Rhodes?
It was Xavier Rhodes. Last week we took a look at whether or not he was shadowed against Buffalo. He wasn't. But Minnesota's defense, I think, is a step above Buffalo's. So I'm still pumping the brakes on Kenny Golladay. I would not be confident playing him despite his good game in Buffalo. Now, he's a talented player. I said I'd start him over Dante Pettis, people like that, but I'm not excited for Kenny Golladay based on just, one big game.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, he's such a downfield threat that it takes one play to kind of erase
the hard part
fear.
Is knowing the game plan, because the reason that they were able to get Kenny Golladay free from the clutches of Tre'Davious White in Buffalo is they used him in the slot a lot more. And I, off the top of my head, can't tell you for sure if Xavier Rhodes follows number 1 guys into the slot or not. And I can't tell you if the game plan is going to be the same for Detroit.
If you're not throwing to Golladay, you're not throwing to anyone. I mean, Bruce Ellington, he's back at practice, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't think you're going to get what you got last week. I think you're going to get 7 for 146 from Kenny Golladay. I have him as a 2. Do you guys have him in the 2 range?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly where I've got him. As a wide receiver 2, is more a pump the brakes on the big blow-up week. He's still going to be the primary target, and the downfield work could get him. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 75 yards, which you go, okay.
Right, but he's probably not going to score, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll get into the rest of the matchups tomorrow. Let's jump into the starts.
Starts of the week.
All right, you can see all of our rankings on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. We got the start-sit tool on there. The rankings being updated all the time. Big games this week. We know that you've got a lot of big decisions to make, and so we're going to try to put some confidence behind these starts. Let's go ahead and start at the quarterback position with Mike. You got Baker in there.
It's Baker. I love him. I talked about how much I love the Cleveland Browns, just their entire team with this matchup against the Bengals, highlighted his 4 touchdowns. That was on the road. That was road Baker Mayfield. Get him at home with their 1% chance to make the playoffs.
I would be so happy.
It's 1%.
I would be so happy.
It's impossible. But what is not impossible is Baker having a great game against a terrible, terrible Cincinnati team.
I've got Dak. We're going back.
I like it.
We're going back to Dak at home against Tampa, the bounce-back game. He plays much better at home. I have him at number 7 overall this week. I think Dak Prescott's going to be on a lot of winning rosters. Jason?
My start of the week is more of a confidence play for those who have him. It's Jared Goff. This is not – I'm not saying – I mean, I could have gone –
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. look, I'm not playing Jared Goff as my start of the week over Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson. Like, those are who I want. Those are the guys that I want in my championship week. But Jared
This
Goff,
is what start of the week is for.
But Jared Goff is not bad.
He's been real bad.
Okay, so yes, 2 weeks ago in Chicago, 4 interceptions, cold weather game, Chicago's great defense, horrifically bad. Last week, you think, he was really bad, right? He was the quarterback 20. I went and I looked. If that touchdown pass to Josh Reynolds,
the one that was dragged down on the centimeter line?
on the centimeter line, that just by a centimeter did not cross, which was called touchdown on the field and then overturned. They said, it was like right before. If that inch was different, he was the number 12 quarterback on the week, and that was in a down game. Now he's playing Arizona, who the number 1 quarterback last week, Matt Ryan, just torched with a questionable run game in Todd Gurley. I'm just not –
I believe you. I believe you, Justin.
I don't look at Jared Goff and see the last 3 weeks result and think that's who he is, that's what I'm worried about. So that's why I'm making my start of the week. I'm not saying you have to start him over great options. Don't. I mean, if you've got
Goff
Ben
or Mitch
Roethlisberger
Trubisky. –
I've got Goff 1 spot ahead of Mitch Trubisky right now. So that's where he's at right now in my rankings, number 12. So he's barely a quarterback 1, but people are burying him like, he stinks.
No, I think it's a good confidence play.
So there you go.
Let's go to tight end. Mike, who's your tight end start of the week?
So this is a stream of the week because I know many people are struggling with the tight end position. What do you do with it? And I want to highlight Blake Jarwin this past week, the highest snaps of the year for him. Each of the past 2 weeks, they've been going up since Jeff Swaim has been injured. Blake Jarwin is out there running about 2x the amount of tight end routes for anyone else on this team, and that has led to multiple weeks of 7 receptions. And I think that he is in this landscape of the guys like Cameron Brate. I would probably pay Cameron Brate above him, but I think the chance that Blake Jarwin gives you 4 points compared to Cameron Brate is actually greater.
I don't disagree with that. And the visualization that I have of the tight end position, and we've been talking about it, every week there's about 6 to 8 guys that seem to rotate in randomly. And I look at it like you walk up to the tight end well, you let go of the rope, the bucket drops to the bottom, and then you start grabbing the rope and you pull it up, and there's a different name in there, and you have to take a shot at some of those deeper opportunities. I'm taking the exact same type of approach to going back to Chris Herndon this week.
Sure.
In New York, because I think Robbie Anderson and Chris Herndon are the 2 guys that can catch the ball. Sam Darnold playing pretty well, and I don't think you get Quincy Enunwa back. So Herndon last week, I think he 57 yards, 3 receptions. That's not great. I mean, you're not getting the great performance
great for
out
the
of
position.
it. But having not getting goosed at the position. Look, I'm not chasing Garrett Selleck or Jeremy Sprinkle. As cool as his name is, I'm not chasing it. I'm trying to identify who's going to be the next, name up out of the well, and maybe that's Blake Jarwin. For me, if you're looking for the deep well dive, it's Chris Herndon. Jason,
I like Chris Herndon more than Blake Jarwin just because he's been more and more involved, and I think I would put my trust there more. But yeah, when you go up to the switching well, you better have a silver dollar you're throwing in first. Make a wish,
or the girl from The Ring is coming out
to play tight end.
my start of the week, which is still kind of a somewhat streaming candidate. He's available in 40% of leagues or so. But Evan Ingram, he's come on strong. He's been there running routes. He's the fastest tight end in the league. They need to be using him. Pat Shurmur is an offensive coordinator I trust. I think Pat Shurmur.
I trusted him all year for Evan Ingram.
I mean, he's a head coach now, but
jerk.
Yeah, well, look, I think he's worked miracles with this team. I mean, you saw what they were at the very beginning of the year and what they've become as the year has gone on. They haven't gotten new offensive linemen, since the beginning of the year. They haven't gotten a new quarterback, but Eli's been playing better. And I think with the injury to Odell Beckham, especially if Odell Beckham misses, Evan Ingram is, I think, a trustworthy tight end in this landscape.
Yeah, I'm always excited seeing him catch the ball because he's got wheels. So he has the opportunity to make a big play, no doubt. At wide receiver, I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson.
Oh, you're going double jets.
I'm going to go back-to-back there. I'm more excited about Robbie Anderson than I am Chris Herndon, mind you. You have to put every tight end conversation in the context of tight ends. But Robbie Anderson himself, look, when Sam Darnold, who's playing very well, or played well last week, when he's in trouble, when he's facing a pass rush, when he's escaping the pocket, it's Robbie Anderson that he looks toward. He had a great game last week. I'm at 18 this week, and I want to bring up Chris Hogan again as a deeper play in light of Josh Gordon being out.
Now, that great game that Robbie Anderson had, do you recall his opponent from last week?
Well, I know that Darnold was running around the whole entire game.
Houston
so he was facing
Texans.
Exactly.
Who have now been beat repeatedly by number one wide receivers, and that's why I'm putting Alshon Jeffrey as this is a confident start.
It was T.Y. Hilton before it was Robbie Anderson.
Yes, he is currently my wide receiver 14.
Talking about for the future back-to-back Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles with Nick Foles?
Possibly. And so I want to give people that confidence. I don't think last week was necessarily a fluke of the reemergence of Alshon Jeffrey with Nick Foles.
He looked so good.
And Alshon can get it done against this defense. So I'm playing him right on that fringe wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 range.
If the Eagles can go back-to-back, they save us money. We don't have to get a new helmet for the back wall.
I would really appreciate
we put
that.
the champion up there, and then that would just save us some, like $12 or something.
Go, fly, Eagles, fly. My start of the week at wide receiver is coming off a great game. This is my fantasy MVP that destroyed my heart and soul. Has been injured and terrible all year. But I think it's time with Doug Baldwin to grab him, to put him in your lineup, and to win a championship. He has always been a big game player. When the season is on the line, Russell Wilson at the end, at home. Russell Wilson is amazing. They've got the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town. That game's going to be awesome. I believe Pat Mahomes can score on the Seattle Seahawks defense, even in Seattle, because of course he can. He's Pat Mahomes. He's been unbelievable. And Doug Baldwin is going to – I think Russell Wilson throws a minimum of 3 touchdowns in this game. Like, he's going to play catch-up. I love this game. I want pieces in this game. And Doug Baldwin looked great last week. I didn't see anything on the field that made me think he had lost a step or he was, really dealing with that hip injury. He got practice off Wednesday, but he always does. That's not an issue at all. Last week, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns. This matchup is there where I've got the confidence to start Doug Baldwin this week.
I think it's very interesting, and I think I buy in. I'm with you. We're on to running backs?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. All right. Chris Carson in the same game. I got him at number 7 this week against Kansas City. He's been the better runner. Rashad Penny still very doubtful to play this week, which makes Chris Carson the lead dog. And he's just a good player. He's just a really good player. Runs hard. You know the offensive strategy for that team. Yeah, maybe the game gets away from them. Maybe it doesn't. The offense in Kansas City hasn't been as prolific since they lost Kareem Hunt. That's just the plain truth. And Chris Carson and that team, they need a big game. So they lost against San Francisco, bounce back at Kansas City. Chris Carson, 20-plus touches. I like him.
I love Chris Carson. Like I just said, I want the pieces in this game.
All right, my start of the week. This is just for anyone out there. Hopefully you're not questioning it after what you've seen for the past 2 weeks. But I want to give you the confidence that I am not. It's Derrick Henry. I'm taking that volume. I'm taking the transformation of the Tennessee Titans. I think they mop the floor with Washington.
Derrick Henry is a movie trailer that I don't want to go see the movie, but it keeps making money at the box office.
It's like Aquaman that somehow has a positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Does it?
Which is blowing my mind. Last time I saw it was at 70%. I got to double check this. Let's see if this has gone down.
Are you talking about the Power Rangers movie?
In fairness, no. In fairness, I do believe...
Oh, it did drop to 68, but it's still positive. I don't know how this is possible.
I do think, though, cartoons usually score well on Rotten Tomatoes.
Cartoons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
sometimes they do. Pixar does well.
Yeah, exactly. Computer animation does well, so maybe that's why they're giving it a leg up. anyways,
not the Grinch. Tell you that.
Well, that's because that movie was terrible. Marlon Mack is my start of the week, in part because, look, this has been a guy that I've said is really, really good. I have liked him from before the season. Yeah, well, but I'm about to shame myself. Last week, man, I was just so out on Marlon Mack. I did not believe against the Dallas Cowboys defense he was going to be able to do what he has been doing on the season when he's been healthy and as the starter, and he torched him last week for 139 yards and 2 scores. Now he's going up against the 29th ranked rush defense as far as fantasy points given up to running backs. Marlon Mack has been great, and they have their center back. That was a big difference this last week. I think there's no reason to not just keep continuing to trust Marlon Mack.
Can we get a Cleveland Browns Indianapolis Colts AFC Championship match?
Oh, that would be.
Can we please get that? That's what awesome. I genuinely want to see.
Maybe next year.
All right.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
It's championship week, and you're going to kick your opponent's butts because you'll play the boom boom of the century, the Saints kicker, Will Lutz.
Butts and Lutz.
Butts and Lutz.
Butts and Lutz.
You saved the best for last.
Yeah.
Regular Bill Shakespeare over here, Jay.
Yep. Well, that is it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. We've got the show tomorrow. We've got an in and out, the rest of the matchups, 10 more games to get through. We'll play some Daily Dose. Have you guys talked about what we're doing next week with Christmas and stuff?
We haven't.
Just so people are aware.
The schedule.
We will be here next week for all you Week 17ers, but we will not be here Monday and Tuesday
Christmas
because
Eve and Christmas.
It's Christmas Eve and Christmas.
We'll be with the families, and then on Wednesday we'll come in. We'll do studs and duds. We'll recap the big week. We'll congratulate all you FootclanTitle winners. We'll remind you to go to shellballers.com and get your FootclanTitle T-shirt. We'll get the parade ready for you. We'll tell you how to troll all of your friends for the next calendar year while you continue listening to the Fantasy Football Podcast.
And as a reminder, get those hashtag FootclanTitle tweets ready. If you don't have a Twitter account, make one just so you can tweet it out.
Yeah, we want to hear about how your dominant season finished. So with maybe it's got Josh Stallion on it.
Ooh, Josh Stallion, the wild Stallion. Oh, it's getting better and better.
Anybody but Josh Rosen. That's who I wish the Cardinals had.
If you're going to play daily, it's draft.com/ballers. See you tomorrow, Footclan. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.